Spring in Appalachia is an exciting time for folks because it signifies the start of the season when nature's wild leeks, ramps, begin to grow. Ramps are known for their similarity to garlic, their sweet and almost indescribable taste, and most definitely their pungent smell. Ramps not only have a rich history embedded in Appalachian culture, but Cherokee tradition as well, and they continue to be influences on culture and current cuisine. Ramps have inspired festivals, poetry, and cookbooks, and while it is useful to explore the history of uses and harvesting of ramps, it is also important to see the way that this simple food has been elevated in high-end cuisine. This video will explore these ideas as well as presenting different recipes and how they use such a smelly ingredient that is important to the Appalachian region. Ramps, also known as Allium triticum, are considered wild garlic and are native to North Carolina. These perennial plants grow in forests with rich soil and plenty of shade. The taste and quality of the ramp is said to depend not only on the time of year in which the herb is harvested, but also the elevation, with ramps grown in places above 2,500 feet, providing large bulbs and better taste. Ramps can be harvested between the months of March and early April, and they are very versatile. Europeans and Cherokees would use ramps for medicinal purposes as a tonic to cure earaches and even a common cold. These plants are known to be high in vitamin A, vitamin C, and selenium, as well as helping to flush out toxins. In fact, plants from the allium family, such as garlic, leeks, and figs, have served many medicinal purposes. Onions were used for sleep, and the juice used could help with weakness and vision. Ramps also serve this purpose, with them being used to prevent Appalachians from getting scurvy and cleanse people after long winters. In this sense, the gathering and use of ramps was necessary for the well-being of Appalachian people. For the Cherokee Native Americans, the collecting and use of ramps goes beyond the desire to eat wild leeks, but becomes more of a spiritual and ceremonial experience. The gathering of the ramps in a specific location provides deeper insight into the spiritual ways of these Native Americans and is overall a process about more than just eating the plant itself. For Appalachian people, ramps are such a cultural phenomenon that there are many festivals and suppers dedicated to them. Some of the most famous festivals include the Ramp Festival in Cosby, Tennessee, and the Feast of Ramson in Richmond, Virginia, with Virginia being home to the National Ramp Association. Many local events dedicated to ramps also take place, and these events allow the community to thrive and bustle with activity. Locals work hard day and night, weeks before these festivals to prepare. This kind of community involvement promotes camaraderie, and for many men and women is a whole lot of fun. Not only do people gather ramps around this time during the spring for festivals, other plants such as pokeweed, dandelions, creeses, and woolen breeches are growing. But the main dish for these festivals is always ramps. Ramp festivals not only celebrate this herb, but provide a source of comedy with their ramp eat-offs. People gather to watch the contestants chow down on as many smelly ramps as they can. According to Glenn Facemeyer from the King of Stink documentary, people don't eat raw ramps. Poetry such as Michael McPhee's Rampant provide historical and cultural background while also playing to this comedic feature of the plant. The poem talks of a boy with an amulet of ramps and his odor so triumphantly repellent. Not only these aspects, but the poem alludes to the boy's Indian blood, which points to the boy's Cherokee heritage, another indicator of ramp history. Some festivals even pay respects to the Cherokee Native Americans in their cultural events throughout the ramp festivals to honor the history of ramps. Ramps have become so deeply embedded in Appalachian history that they are a symbol themselves. For Appalachians, ramps not only serve as a basic act of absorbing nutrients, but eating them represents ideals of roots and region. Ways in which ramps are preserved, gathered, and used are all symbolic of the Appalachian region in which the plants are native. Ramps were also used as an indicator of a person's status. Many people were often looked down upon for buying ramps, as it was assumed people could not afford other vegetables. Today, the status of ramps has been elevated, and they are a highly desired food item in high-end cuisine. Food Network has featured ramps in various settings, and many fancy restaurants serve ramps for high prices. While ramps have become increasingly popular, They still simply represent the roots and culture of the Appalachian region. However, due to the popularity of ramps, the ramps growing in the wild have slowly been depleting. Although many festivals started out taking small amounts of ramps, more and more festivals have begun to take place, and more ramps are needed to supply these festivals. Also, because ramps take 5 to 7 years to regrow, they are not growing fast enough to supply the demand. Not only this, but many people are uninformed about the correct way to dig ramps to continue the growth. In the end, it is only possible for ramp depletion to stop if people are taking action to continue the growth, and therefore the tradition of ramps. Ramps are found in many Southern cookbooks, which range from simple recipes in mom-and-pop style cookbooks to recipes which require more labor in glossy, well-known cookbooks such as Ronnie Lundy's Vittles. Ramps can be eaten in many different ways. They can be fried, scrambled with eggs, cooked with pasta, or even added to dips. Pickled ramps are also highly popular and are featured in many of the cookbooks I found. Ramps are extremely versatile, and the context of the cookbooks in which they are found really speaks volumes about what level of cuisine the herb is being placed at. Cookbooks such as Mom and Ramps Forever feature ramps entirely, while other books such as Food and Recipes of the Smokies show only a few ramp recipes. Mom and Ramps Forever by Barbara Bury McCollum displays a wide variety of ramp recipes, from pickled to pasta and even soups featuring ramps. One recipe in particular is cream of ramp soup, a recipe so simple it takes up a small paragraph within the cookbook and does not even display a list of ingredients. This is similar to the display of the ramp recipe in Food and Recipes of the Smokies, published in 1996, which displays a small paragraph with even a little information about where to find ramps. This recipe, however, displays a list of ingredients used for the recipe, as small as it is, featuring only ramps, salt, and baking grease. Recipe books like these feature ramps in such a simple form, leaving the ingredient in its most basic form while still elevating the ingredient rather than leaving it raw. Pickled ramps are common in many recipes because, similar to onions, ramps pickle well and absorb flavors well. Ronnie Lundy's cookbook Vittles features Will Disson's pickled ramps, which are described as like a tangy, garlicky, sweet pickle. Pickled ramps are able to not only bring out the natural sweetness of ramps, but by pickling in other flavors, which Lundy features such as mustard seeds, fennel seeds, and cumin seeds, the flavor of the ramps is truly enhanced and evolves into an entirely new flavor. While some recipes, such as Lundy's, feature more ingredients added to the pickling process, the key to pickled ramps is really a good quality ramp as the base for a great pickle. Ramps can be used in other ways too. Tart and Sweet has a recipe for ramp kimchi, which is a new twist for ramps. Ramps are also featured in many recipes with pasta. Darren Nordahl's cookbook Eating Appalachia, Rediscovering Regional and American Flavors, has a recipe for ramp linguine, which, while the cookbook is glossy, the recipe features simple ingredients using only pasta, fresh ramps, olive oil, and cheese. Pasta recipes featuring ramps provide unique substitutes to a basic pasta with garlic or onions, with the wild ramps complementing while also starring in the dishes. Ramps are featured in literary works as well, which employs themes about Southern culture based on the food. Jeff Mann's poem Ramps outlines the process of finding ramps at local markets and cooking them in baking grease with potatoes and the nostalgia that comes with eating them each year. This poem plays to the idea that ramps are representative of basic things and symbolic of a simple Southern idea. Another poem, Rampant, by Michael McPhee, plays to the idea of Cherokee origins while also using the phrase spring tonic, which alludes to ramps' medical uses, and also using the phrase the smell intensely foul yet sweet, provide the most basic example of what ramps are, pungent yet sweet. Ramps as an ingredient are able to be simple while also being elevated and featured as a main ingredient. The versatility allows ramps to be used in a variety of ways that not only enhance the main flavors of wild ramps, but also feature ramps in their most basic form and keeping the integrity of the ingredient. Recipes for ramps range from basic soups and pickles to more labor-intensive pastas and even a kimchi. In the end, the flavor of ramps stands pretty well on their own, their sweetness and pungency making them truly unique.